Hi, the doctor who treats your lifestyle, not just your symptoms. Please meet Dr. Arpit Bansal, a fellowship trained surgeon, hospital director, and one of India's most forward thinking voices in preventative health. While he spends his days performing advanced cancer surgeries, his real passion is stopping disease before it starts. Through Instagram and YouTube, he's building a movement around a simple truth: no illness happens in one day. Today, we're diving into how to optimize your brain for the life you actually want to live. So, Dr. Arpit Bansal, if you'd like to
Yeah,
introduce
thanks
yourself
for
from there.
having me. So, I often say that I don't drink coffee before my surgeries
Mm.
because ice baths are my espresso. And that's how I hack my nervous system before a long day in the beginning in the morning.
That's awesome. I had a ice shower before this podcast. I find the stimulation of the brain kind of just really peps me up. It picks my
Yes,
moods up and
absolutely.
makes me want to talk a lot more. We've all had days where our brain feels foggy and others where everything just clicks. What actually makes the difference? How does the clarity of thought come through?
See, the what basic is everything is clarity. And I feel like when we begin our day, we need to start what we want to do in life. And everybody wants to have a productive, happy, healthy, joyful day. And that's where we start to begin. Like as rightly said, people have some days where your brain is working like a Ferrari, and many days you feel that it's like stuck in traffic. Like today we'll be talking about what high performance thinking is, high performance is beyond just caffeine, and it's mainly managing our blue mind and the red mind, which I call the
Okay,
parasympathetic nervous system is the blue mind, and the sympathetic nervous system is the red mind. And sadly, the current scenario of our lifestyle of most people is they are stuck in the red mind. So don't
right,
get me wrong, like sympathetic nervous system is definitely good because sympathetic nervous system is important for our focus, for our alertness, for our drive to do things. But the problem is most people are stuck in the chronic red mind. That is the from the moment they get up, first of all, they get up with alarm clocks. Then they are in a task based network. Even if they are a slow day, they are procrastinating. When we get up, the most for most people, actually they are living in their chronic red mind. Like from the moment they get up, first of all, we are not tuned, our brains are not tuned to get up on an alarm clock. And then WhatsApp messages, our phones with notifications are stealing our focus. And then we blame, like, oh, my mind is not sharp, I'm not able to focus. Your focus is not because your mind is going dull, because your focus has been stolen by the devices, by the notifications, by the ping ping
right.
ping. And like currently all the time we are running after things. The real sympathetic system or the red mind is definitely important to do things, but longevity and clarity and creativity, true healing, happens in a parasympathetic overdrive state or the blue mind state. And that's, we need to understand that we need to tap, there has to be some ways to get flow in life and be in a more calm state of flow, and then automatically creativity, clarity, you get things start flowing.
So it's easier to enter a working state in the blue mind.
Absolutely. Red mind is definitely essential, as I told. So there is duality in life, Maya, which we call in Hindu culture. So like there has to be a balance of everything, but true longevity, true healing, true creativity, I say, is always in a more parasympathetic dominant state.
Do you have any tricks or advice to, I guess, maintain the blue mind state? One of the things I did a long time ago, a lot of people wear smartwatches, and whenever you get a message, ping, 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 I've now turned off all notifications on my phone. I don't have a smartwatch anymore.
Like being a busy doctor, my phone is usually off notifications, usually on do not disturb mode. Like when I'm obviously in my peak working hours, I keep checking hours and I'm very prompt in responding to the messages. But the fact that the phone steals your notification, your flow state is broken. That's a flow breaker. And once your flow is it takes again time to get into that. And so it all starts with us living like how nature had attuned our brains and body to live. First things first, we start with alarm clocks, but we were supposed to wake up with sunrise. And We were supposed to be in nature. Movement was a natural part of our life. Again, we invented exercise because we made our lives comfortable, but that is later. Sunlight is more than vitamin D. Sadly, people have been saying that morning sunlight is essential to get the vitamin D. That 1 hour of morning sunlight is definitely boosts your vitamin D, but it basically entrains your circadian rhythm, which is the main key to living brain healthy.
Yeah.
Because there have been experiments, people have been put in dark rooms for weeks, and everybody has a different clock. like uh, all humans don't have a 24-hour clock. As humans, we made boundaries, we make limitations that one day contains 24 hours. Humans, we like to measure things and keep structured, because obviously to cater to such a wide population we need that. But actually the time for our human brain, if people are kept under total darkness, some people have a 24 and a half hour clock, some people have a 25 and a half hour clock. And every morning when we get up, the first light, when they strikes our optical neurons, it entrains our body. There is something called as the suprachiasmatic nucleus in our brain, in our near hypothalamus. That is our master clock. Initially scientists thought that that is the clock, but now that is just the clock which aligns and synchronizes all the other clocks. So our brain has a different clock, our liver has a different clock, our gut has a different clock, our heart has a different clock. And you peak performance, or including brain peak performance, happens when all these clocks are in sync. And that happens when you open your eyes to natural blue light of sun in the
Mm.
early morning. You don't do night shifts, and that's a different story altogether. But like, you have slept properly 8 hours and you get up automatically, not with an alarm clock, in a calm, slow manner. The ideal first thing, one of the first biohacks, apart from getting the morning sunlight, is breath work. And
Okay.
because we have to understand that when we what consciousness is, when we go to bed, the 6 to 8 hours, what is consciousness? Those 8 hours, we don't remember anything. Like, we can remember parts of our dreams, but those 8 hours, we can be anywhere in the universe, not just on our earth. So strangely, when people studied the consciousness, what human brain is, and the universe,
Mm.
they both ultimately came to a holographic nature. For example, if I have a thought right now, I have a fear,
Yeah.
or I have l- any good thought, happiness, can any MRI or any device on the earth right now
Mm.
focus our thought to one point? No, no, it cannot. Because a thought, a clarity, is like many multiple neurons firing at the same time. That's what consciousness is. So that is why the consciousness, or our brain structure, and the universe's structure is correlated for a holographic nature. That is, one piece of brain is actually contains the entire information, and yet it is incomplete.
Does that buy into the idea that we're all consciously linked as well?
100%. Like, we are definitely linked, and that is just the start. Like, we all are ultimately, I am consciousness. That is, like, we are connected not just at a human level, but even to the super divine, or the intellectual consciousness, or the higher source. In Hindu culture, we call it as the Akash field, or like, as Dr.
Yeah.
put it, as the morphic field. Because ultimately in life, everything is energy, and energy flows, and so does our thoughts. And you cannot catch our thoughts, you cannot pinpoint our thoughts.
Interesting. I like it. Yeah. I've always wondered if we can kind of dive into our own subconsciouses and we're all consciously linked, does that mean we can dive into other people's subconscious at the same time?
You are taking this to a next level. This is my favorite topic now. Like, if, for example, if you haven't read a book,
Yeah.
but book is written, you can get the knowledge of the book without reading it. People are doing it. So because the information field has all the knowledge, and if you tap into that connection, then you can not just connect to other people's subconscious mind, which is what hypnotherapy, a lot of things are people are doing, but even you can access the ultimate super consciousness. And then you can directly download all the information, which, even if I'm living or reading some new things about, for example, quantum only, then I don't feel that I'm reading this for the new time. It just feels that I knew this, I'm just remembering I'm just refreshing my memory.
Interesting. I like it. So what is cognitive health? What would you say cognitive health is?
Cognitive health is obviously our brain health, but your brain isn't a mystery box. It's like a biological supercomputer, I would say, and that needs the right input, the right output, and the right cycles to perform. And we need to understand that, first of all, when we talk about health, people, the first thing is I should be eating healthy. I should be consuming the right nutritious food. We should be focusing on consuming the right content for our brains. Content is there is on social media. Fear driven psychology has been entrained, engraved in us from our very beginning, from our religionism to everywhere. And with that, the limited mindset starts building up. So to
Mm,
live unlimited, we need to undo all those things, and we need to be very, very cautious of the content or the food for our brains which we are consuming on a daily basis. We have to make the world a better place, bring more flow in life, bring more joy in life, bring more happiness to each other. That's what
that's
the
true.
intention should be. So when I talk about cognitive health, I'm not only talking about the IQ or the test scores, I'm also talking about clarity, how fast you recover from stress, and how deeply you can truly focus on your things, and how calmly you can take decisions. So again, the balance of the blue mind and the red mind. But the important thing is you have to balance, and you have to calm yourself down, because clarity doesn't happen without calmness.
Yeah, that's fair. One of the things I like, I've lived abroad outside the UK for the last 10 years. And one of the benefits to that is I'm not that good at learning other languages. I can get by. I've managed to survive, but I don't read newspaper headlines. I don't have the radio and TV on. If there are people gossiping in the cafe, I generally don't understand what they're saying. So I'm isolated from a lot of that rubbish that I don't necessarily need
That's
to invade.
literally living that life. I have never like touched a newspaper probably in last 10 years. I've never watched a television. So important things I come to know from my fellow colleagues, but I like when I'm doing surgery, when I'm watching my patients, try and stay focused. Sometimes I play some binaural beats music, like different frequencies flow.
What are binaural beats and how do you use them?
So there is life. Everything in life is frequencies, is energies. So binaural beats are like some frequency audio music. And these days there are so many different kinds of frequencies which you can put and hear in both earphones. There are some different frequencies, so it aligns your brains. We know there is a left brain, right brain. So there are different frequencies which you can connect the hemisync frequencies, which you can connect the brains better, and then you can automatically perform better. And
Okay.
so, like in Hololive, here I would see a chance to tell our listeners about a very interesting phenomena. Like I am a water person. I am also known as the Aquaman biohacker. Another one of my favorite biohacks of calmness is underwater meditation.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether most of the listeners know about cymatics, the science of frequency on matter, and how music can enhance that and change that frequency. So, for example, if you put up water or a petri dish with water and you put loud music to it, the water in the petri dish starts to vibrate. That's called water mandala. And so there was a artist, very interesting artist in Japan, and he put up exactly petri dish, and there was a camera on the top, and the camera live visuals was shown on the screen, and he had made some device where the petri dish can absorb the vibrations of his guitar and the music instrument which he was playing. And you won't believe such magical creations of water were happening when the music was playing, and we were meditating to it. Now that is one experience. I knew about it, but like the crowd was crazy while looking at the visuals. Think that each and every cell of our body is water, and when we listen to the right frequencies of music, those vibrations are there happening in each and every cell of us. Like imagine what is really happening inside. So that is the power of binaural beats. And this is audio entrainment. When we, as we were discussing, the content which we are consuming for our brain is most crucial for our cognitive health. So if audio content is also important. And then for example, people watch movies, people love listening to romantic songs, and most of the romantic songs start and end with a like a heartbreak. And
Yeah.
so then imagine what they frequencies their heart are vibrating. and then ultimately they attract that also. So in terms, since we're talking about frequency, there is something called as the Schumann resonance, which is the resonance with the earth, the frequency of the
Yeah,
mother
yeah.
earth, and that is ideally 7.83 hertz. And so in when we talk about brain health and when we talk about health in general, our body emits two kinds of frequencies. One is our heart working, and that is called as the heart rate variability. Heart rate variability is basically how soon you can calm down from a stressful situation. So for example, any stressful situation, any accident happens, for example, or a bomb blast happens in your vicinity, your heart rate will climb up, and your heart will start beating fast. Then when you center yourself or when you ground yourself, your heart rate will start coming down. The more resilient your nervous system is, the more resilient your body is, the faster, first of all, in stressful situation, it will not rise very high, and even if it rises, it will come down to your resting pulse rate very fast. So that is the heart rate variability. So there is one rhythm in our body which starts from our heart.
Is it better to have a high heart rate variability or a low heart rate
It is better to have
variability?
a high heart variability, so that even when you have a stressful situation, you calm down faster. So the higher the number,
Gotcha.
the more resilient you are. So it is the most important marker to like measure resilience. And now you can give it a number. And like being a biohacker, one of the first things I tell people, it's like it's definitely crazy like to track every metric, but unless until you measure things, you cannot improve things. That's the basic funda.
Yep.
And like, so we should not go by the hard numbers, like, because all these techs gadgets are still upcoming. So we should follow our trends, and heart rate variability is so protective that so it is measured in milliseconds. And for example, a normal value for a normal person may be anywhere between 30, 40, or 50. So like ice baths, when I do ice baths, it boosts my HRV. When I do underwater meditation, it boosts my HRV. And but just 1 millisecond of your heart rate variability increase is protective up to 10 to 15% of your overall death mortality. Like
Okay.
imagine, like, just if you can boost your nerve. So like patients come to us, we give the molecules, but if the patient's heart rate variability is low, he's always in the red mind, then your the healing, which as in from, even if I give the right medicines, even if I perform the right surgery,
Yeah.
his we are just treating the physical part of it. We are not really healing the patient.
When I got my Aura Ring 18 months ago, I think my HRV was around 35, which is pretty low. I've now
Yeah,
got it up to 55,
that's good.
due to mostly adding things to my routine and change of diet. I was wondering, do you have any biohacker tips or any rituals that you do in order to help people increase their heart HRV?
Sleep is very crucial. Sleep is of again free biohack. So I always, when we talk about biohacking, I always start comparing when we used to live as a hunter gatherer approach, when we were in jungles. So like again, once the sun was set, we used to light a fire, cook some meal, and then obviously eat and then go to bed. There was nothing else. We didn't have mobile phones. There were no entertainment. So like we were naturally sleeping 7 to 8 hours or probably even more. So a good night of sleep is one of the most crucial to maintain and good HRV. And then hydration levels also HRV. What you eat definitely matters. How much you exercise matter. So I'm having molecular hydrogen water is also helps, like this
What
again.
is molecular hydration water? The thing.
Hydrogen is one of the smallest element, and with molecular hydrogen, like if you this is a bottle with like pumps a molecular hydrogen into the normal good filtered water, so it
Okay.
structures the water also. That is also one benefit, and it gives you some ppm of hydrogen. And
Mm.
water, again, when you drink it reaches so it is like a selective antioxidant. It only oxidizes only the harmful radicals. So it
Yeah.
is genuinely, you should try this, and it is works on great on cellular energy, I would say.
That sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. So a type of water that's more anti-oxidizing, basically.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
And it
So,
even crosses the blood-brain barrier, like because it being
okay.
molecular hydrogen being so small, like if you have like 2 to 3 bottles, like one or two glass bottles of this every day, it is even like there have been now studies about molecular hydrogen. It also helps you detoxify your brain health, like all the beta amyloid plaques. It also activates your glymphatic system. So the glymphatic system works in our deep sleep, but if
Yep.
you have the right hydration, then it definitely helps you detoxify those and prevent you from diseases like Alzheimer's and brain fog in the long run.
It seems that having a really solid morning routine, good sleep, waking up, maybe even having the ice bath is very good for mental health and clarity. Are there any things that most people do that are bad for their mental health that would impair performance?
So number one thing is the food for our brains. What food are we eating for our brains? It is essential that how efficiently your brain translates the biology into decision making. That's what the true cognitive health definition, which I believe is like you're able to make clear decisions in your life and then stuck by it. Your cognitive bandwidth determines how well you respond to life. When we talk about brain health, we all think about it's not just about the coffee, it's not just
Yeah.
about even willpower. It's about rhythm. It's about how new balance your neurotransmitters are, neuroplastic activities you are doing. What is neuroplasticity? Neuroplasticity is like you learn something new. When you learn a musical instrument, you genuinely build new synaptic connection within hours. And like our nervous system is such an intense network of nervous connections. It should be ideally agenda free, like not for your work. Should be learning things which I have no clue about, which is totally new to me.
So, big question. We've mentioned coffee. I've used to work in an office. I would see people walking to work, queuing in Starbucks. If they weren't buying Starbucks, as soon as they got in, they were making coffee in the kitchen. Is coffee and caffeine really a good way to start the day?
See, it is a very personal, but caffeine is good. Like again, we need to understand our circadian biology. And for example, you go to bed. So as we start our morning, the adenosine, the sleep pressure, the cortisol hormone starts rising. So morning, there is something called as circadian dead zone window where you can have good amount of caffeine. So there are people who have that one CYP gene who are like high caffeine metabolizers, and there are some low caffeine metabolizers. So for some people, if they have a cup of coffee after after 3 or 4 in the afternoon, then they don't get good quality sleep.
I'm one
And
of
while
those.
like person like me, if I have like I don't do it now because I'm a biohacker, I still avoid it. But initially in my early days, like I could have a Red Bull, which is like poison from a biohacker point because there's so much sugar. But like maybe a black cup coffee 9 p.m. and then I can still go to bed. So if you are a high caffeine metabolizer, you can. So like in short, caffeine is a good source of boosting neuroplasticity or boosting some focus, but it can be just an additional source. So I will tell you one my afternoon slag. Like when I have an afternoon slag, so around 1, I have a little late breakfast around 10ish. So around 12 to 1, or most people when they have that afternoon slag, when they want like coffee or when they
Mm.
want something to eat or when they're not very happy or like the mind starts going down, I have this hack which I have, like it's a scientific based hack. I have my phosphatidylserine
Okay.
100 mg. Not every day, like when I feel like today is going to be a good mental equity challenge day, maybe I have some good challenging surgeries or other like, and I combine with it with good omega fatty acids like good EPA and DHA
Yeah.
and good quality lion's mane. So these days I have my Intelligent Labs lion's mane which you gave me in Estonia, and even the phosphatidylserine, and then
Okay.
omega 3. So ultimately, for our listeners, phosphatidylserine is like a phospholipid for our brain, and it helps our brain
Mm.
cells, talk to each other with more clarity. So then, this is my biohack. And sometimes I have lion's mane in my black coffee, and that is again I called as the flow state coffee. I call the flow state coffee, and I get into flow immediately.
So that's your kind of lunchtime nootropic stack to get over that hump and bring energy back in. That's phenomenal. So with respect to that, so that's how you're using dietary supplements in order to kind of help your cognitive health.
People like these supplements, definitely they are some additional, but I would say that your gut, your sleep, your breath, these are not separate from your brain. And they are your brain. So I usually see like brain health as a triangle of our gut brain axis, our cellular energy, like molecular hydrogen is one of the things again which boosts your cellular energy. And the third thing is flow state. These three things are my main triangle of cognitive health, which I call, which I just designed myself and I believe in it. I see like, so like for example, let's talk about the first one, the gut brain axis. There is a something called as the vagal nerve, which literally is a bi-directional nerve. Like it's not like any other nerve. It transmits the signals from our gut to our brain and to from our brain to our gut also. So I would say like the vagus nerve is literally, I can term it the Wi-Fi of your consciousness. That's how your
Okay.
consciousness is, you're connected to everything, and it's linking your microbiome, your to your mood, it's to your memory, to your focus. And you people are aware of this fact that 90% of the serotonin, our neurotransmitter, which is our happiness hormone, is ultimately made in our gut. And then similarly, the neurotransmitter in the brain reproduces that serotonin in our brains. So this is how the power of the gut brain axis is. And like that is why to peak perform in our brain we need to be eating right, and you can't to have too much sugar. Then if anything, you have a sugar, you have a rise, then you have a crash. And for example, the number two in our axis is our cellular energy. So we mentioned a little bit about when we talked about the molecular hydrogen, but our mitochondria are the real reason which we are aging, and which we are like the powerhouse of our cellular energy. We know about this is from our medical schools, and most people who are listening to this podcast, I'm sure they have dived a little bit into their health, so they have a little bit idea about this. But so when your mitochondria slow down, your neurons lose signal clarity. That's where nutrients like the phosphatidylserine, which we were talking about, and omega-3 come in, because they helps membrane talk to each other better by supplementing that phospholipids and all those things. And the third triangle in the cognitive health is, we were talking a little bit about neuroplasticity and flow state. So neuroplasticity, we spoke about, it's our brain's ability to rewire itself, and it is, so like people initially thought that 20-25 years after that there is no neuroplasticity, and adults find it difficult to learn. Again, back to our social entrainment limitations which we have been forced into our minds. It is again a limitation which has been told into our brains. It is not a limitation like any adult. And your brain, it has been proved neuroscientifically now that your brain is as neuroplastic till your last breath. Like you can keep on learning things. And probably the best biohack for our cognitive longevity is neuroplasticity. Keep learning something new, reading something new, just doing something which your mind hasn't done before. So every time we learn, we focus, or we recover, our neural circuits are remodeling. It's they are forming new connections, merging new connections, destroying the old ones. And that's how it's upgrading your firmware of your consciousness. For example, when I meditate underwater, like I
Mm.
literally have a scuba tank, and today morning I went under the water. It's winter setting in, so people are not that scared. Like less people are in the pool, so I got luckily the entire pool all by myself. So today, and I just so like when I do underwater, it's where science and stillness meet. And that where I feel neuroplasticity really happen, the shift from chaos to coherence. And again, it happens in the blue mind, which I said. So ultimately, our brain doesn't need hacks. It
Mm.
needs harmony. It needs coherence. And initially, when we were talking about the frequency, I mentioned about the heart rate variability. The other sets of frequencies which we know through neuroscience is our brain waves.
Mm.
When we are the most active, like we are having such an interactive conversation, right? So our brains are firing at beta waves. They are rapid
Yeah.
waves. We are active, we are alert. And then when we go close our day, then our brain wave pattern slows down and comes to alpha. It's like maybe not 12 hertz, maybe around 8 hertz. And then when you're in deep sleep, it goes to alpha, theta also. And then when you're lucid dreaming, you go into gamma also sometimes. So
Okay.
these are the real brain waves. And now again, there's a coincidence here again, and I believe that in universal design there are no coincidence. Like you might have heard about alpha
Yeah.
state meditation, and Dr. Silva, who is very famous for the alpha meditation. And so when we wake up from our sleep, just wake up, and when we are going to our bed, our brains are slowing down. We go through something called as that hypnagogic state, and that is our brains are almost vibrating at that alpha frequency. And if you like do gratitude at that time, if you do uh, like manifesting things, or if you are just grateful to the connection to the universe at that time, that is the magical time where you can literally create any of your desires, or be just in coherence with the world if you're not like craving things.
Mm.
And I mentioned about the Schumann resonance.
Yeah.
That is again very close. 7.83 and 8 hertz are very close. So again, these things nature has already told us. And this there is one more new thing which I have been doing on my brain, and my thing which I would like to mention here is something you might be aware. So there is something called as the heart math breathing, where you
Okay.
with your breath you slow down your breath. So breathing again, slowing down your breath up to around 6 breaths per minute, like is it literally slows down your nervous system, and it again triggers the vagal nerve. It
Mm.
optimizes your HRV. It drops your BP automatically. It reduces your cortisol. So heart math breathing, with your breathing, you focuses on your heart. You can close your eyes when you get up in the morning. Ideal, like you can definitely do it anytime in the day,
Mm.
and then you try and make these the heart waves, the heart rate variability, and the brain waves in coherence. And that is the most beautiful and the most calming frequency. And you, wherever you are, wherever confused state, if you need your answers, just 5 to 10 minutes of simple breathing, slow breathing, with your attention, your heart and your brain, it brings your heart brain into coherence.
So you would do that in the morning after
I
waking
would
up,
do that.
ideally,
I do that first thing in the morning. That's
first thing.
like the moment I wake up, I touch my ground of my bed, and then immediately I do this. That's the first thing.
So 5 minutes, one breath every 10 seconds,
Yeah, that's pretty
bringing
easy. That's
everything
not.
to alignment.
And like again,
Anyone can do that.
consciously, you don't need to like every time time yourself like it's 6 breaths or not. You just have to go with and
That makes
just be
sense.
little loose. And then breath work is, we cannot like underestimate breath work when we are talking about cognitive health and brain health, because like there is something called as CO2 tolerance, which again, nobody, I've been speaking all across the world in biohacking and longevity conferences, and I mentioned this in my talks also. Like free divers, scuba divers, I'm a scuba
Yeah.
diver also, but free divers who like do diving without the tanks, they train their nervous system to hold their breath for longer. And what literally happens when we hold our breath, if you take a deep breath right now and hold your breath, like most of us will be after 20 or 30 seconds, we will start to get that restlessness, that uneasiness, that sense of slow panic happening. So that is not because of lack of oxygen. That is because of the CO2 buildup. And
Okay.
again, everything is nervous system. So like we can train our nervous system to manage that CO2 buildup in a more calmer way. And it's a biohack. So this is called training your CO2 tolerance. Wim Hof, the Iceman, the famous Iceman, he does a good breathing. There's lots of free YouTube videos. I personally use his YouTube videos to do this breathing breath holds every day in the morning. So it's a simple rule. If your CO2 tolerance or your breathing hold is less than 30 seconds, your low CO2 tolerance, you panic in situations, you are more restless person. And if
Okay.
you have a high CO2 tolerance, like maybe a minute, if you can hold your breath easily, then you are 100%. You can ask yourself, like I am not judging you, or the listeners, who you will be more calm under pressure. You will not, you'll take clear decisions, you will not panic. You, even in grave circumstances, you will still be that inner sense of peace. And that's what I think most of us wants. Like we cannot always, in our current life with so much traffic noise, notifications, we cannot always control what is outside of us, but we
Mm.
can always control what is inside of us. And with these things like breath work, so there are two kinds of breath work. One is the heart brain breathing, which I told, that's a coherence breathing, less easy, that's easier way. And the CO2 tolerance is like a level upgrade where you can slowly train. So like I was also When I started this like 1 year back, this is I've not been doing since too long. I could only hold my breath 30-40 seconds, and then I starts to get that uneasy sensation. And today morning was my personal best, coincidentally again. I held my breath for 3 minutes 30 seconds.
Wow, that's amazing. That's the power of discipline then and
Yeah,
training consistently,
exactly.
turning up, actually turning up. That's really helpful, really helpful. So, what's one small change that listeners can try tomorrow to improve their focus? Practical everyday strategies.
Your brain, again, we I were telling that we don't need a hackathon, it needs a rhythm. And my three S's of focus is sleep, sunlight, and stillness. Start your morning with a natural sunlight. If possible, try to wake up like just before sunrise or around sunrise so that you don't get the harsh sunlight. Like,
Yep.
best part of sunlight is the first 1 to 2 hours. So it anchors definitely your circadian rhythm we have been talking about, and it sharpens your alertness. And also, in sunlight, people focus on the sunrise, but if you want to sleep better, you should also try to get the evening last hour of the sunset. That sunset, that is also important. So start your morning with your sun, evening with the sunset. Then try a 25-minute focus sprint, like an fast exercise or HIIT, whichever you prefer. I love sprinting.
Yep.
And followed by 5 minutes of conscious breathing. And this mimics your brain's, like there are like some ultradian cycle also. So these 30-minute cycles, like for example, we if we literally tune ourselves to our circadian rhythm, like sleep is one important aspect of understanding the circadian rhythm. We can sleep better, but the productivity enhancer is another challenge and another point which we can target and understand about our body. And rhythm is something called as ultradian cycles. So in life, everything is cyclical. So is our focus attention span. So usually we have a cycles of, and everybody feels this, like there is some time, or maybe for most some people there may be 2 or 3 time slots in the day where we are most productive. Like,
Yeah.
we feel most productive. Slowly, once you understand your own biology, you can then keep those 90 minutes. So these are periods usually of ranging from 30, 60 to 90. Like if you are like a disciplined person, you can extend it to 90 of good focus time. Instead of, for example, this is a good hack for students, young students, and competition giving. Lots of students are studying a lot, and they study 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
During the exam time, they definitely have to. But I'm not saying that stop studying. That can be converted into a more productive. For example, I do so many things. I cannot, but I still do a lot of reading. I still do a lot of books reading. I still do a lot of creative flow. So I try to get that 30-60 minutes, preferably in the morning sometime. And the 4 to 6 p.m. when there is a slag, I don't know, probably because of the afternoon hack, which this is a very peak time for me. And
Mm.
I tune myself learning new things in that 60 to 90, and that minutes of focused work. And it again, lots of things you can add on to. You can add binaural beats, some light
Yeah.
background flow state music, and that helps you. So this is also one people can try. And the other things which people can try are like cold exposure, micro movement during our day. Like when you're
Mm.
again, if you're focused for doing something for 90 minutes, go up, stand up and move around, climb some stairs, do 10 push-ups. I like to do 11 push-ups. That's my micro movement of my day. And apart from that, so these cold exposure we have already spoken, like keeps your brain neuron, and it is a natural dopamine boost. When we like drink coffee, ultimately it boosts your dopamine. When you do workout, it boosts your dopamine. And the boost of dopamine which you get from an ice bath, it's next level. It also helps you entrain your circadian rhythm, also about understanding our temperature biology. And when we get up in the morning, as per for example, an average person gets up at 6 in the morning. So his during the day, as the day progresses, his temperature starts rising. And for
Yeah.
most people, between 12 to 2, the body reaches the temperature maxima of our body, because body understands that that afternoon time is where we need our mental focus, we need our digestion system to work maximum, we are probably the most productive. So that is the time where we reach our temperature maxima. And again, when going to the bed towards the evening, our temperature starts to dip down. And one very important hack is like when we go to bed, if we take warm showers, so once you sleep, probably the person is average person, we are taking 10 o'clock he goes to bed, then for 12 to 2 in the night is usually where he reaches his temperature minima, also usually coincides with his heart rate minima, the minimum heart rate. And so the sooner you temperature dips to your minimum after sleep, the more better quality sleep you will get, more deeper restorative sleep which you will also get, the more lymphatic system will be active, the more fresher you will feel next morning. So that's why people say that take warm showers in the night, or ideally you could do like I have an infrared sauna, you could do sauna sessions in the evening and ice baths in the morning, like contrast therapy also I do sometimes. That's but again one important thing, ideally it is not to, you should keep your nervous system confused for some time. Like ice baths
True.
is one thing. Ice baths is one thing. If I like I sit in like 2 degrees for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, but I don't follow one set routine every day.
Right.
And if sitting in an ice bath becomes like a routine for me, if running 5 to 10 kilometers a day becomes routine for me, my nervous system adapts it into a routine and it
Yeah.
stops working on my resilience. So then it's a waste of our activity. Why would I run or why would I sit in a cold water if it is not building my resilience? So
Mm.
it minimizes the effect. Sometimes it is like, for example, ice baths. I do some days at 2 degrees before my runs. Some days I do after my runs. Some days I take the temperature like 10 degrees and I sit 20 minutes in it. I do my breath work inside the ice bath. So the different things, there has to be some science backed protocols, but it's not a blueprint that you have to follow this every day.
Yeah.
So you need to keep changing a little bit so that if the thing, anything, any routine becomes a routine, then usually it stops working on your resilience. And resilience is the key factor which we need to build to live lives with clarity and focus.
Yeah, in weightlifting, I think they have something called progressive overload, where you
Exactly.
always lift a bit heavier or one more. So I guess that's the same with everything in life.
So I
Otherwise,
always
you
say
get
like
used to
your
it.
brain is like a muscle in a gym. Like train it daily, but give it recovery time. Sleep is our recovery time. The real biohack is awareness for me. If you're really aware what is happening in your brain, what is happening in your body, what is happening to your frequencies, your energies, then that's the real thing.
So we've touched on nootropics a little bit. Are there any supplements that you take in the morning or throughout the week just to keep on top of things?
Like I take a lot of supplements. I take NMN, I take vitamin D3 K2.
Okay.
Vitamin D3 K2 is the number one supplement which I would suggest everyone should take. If you have to take one supplement,
Yeah.
like even before omega 3, and omega 3 is also very important, like good quality EPA and DHA. It has to have both the, and like most omega supplements come with very low quality EPA or
Yeah.
DHA, and that's no use. Like if you're talking about supplements, then we should have the good quality. That's number one. Then I lion's mane in terms of functional mushrooms is my favorite. Phosphatidylserine, I don't take it every day. It depends on the days. Like if there is mental acuity, for extreme mental acuity, sometimes I have like 200 mg also. And then I have creatinine is again one important
Yeah.
supplement which I take, and it's not only for muscles. It's a brain fuel also.
Yeah. I've started taking creatine, not for the bodybuilding style, but if I don't have good sleep, I will take like 10, I think 10 grams of that the next day and I'll feel a lot better. So I've been kind of taking small amounts daily for the nootropic effects, I guess.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So supplements are really essential, but ultimately supplements only work if your lifestyle supports them, like
Yeah.
hydration, real food, not the packaged food, of course, and rest, like sleep is important. Then, so that's the key.
What's the one food that people think is healthy that's actually harming their brain?
Sugar is the worst thing from for your brain, if I would say. Like there are so many things actually for your brain which people think it is healthy, like anything in excess is harmful. Food, whether it is healthy or for you, is depends on your microbiome.
Yeah. Okay. If you could give one piece of advice to someone struggling with brain fog, what would it be?
I would say that first of all, try to get into flow state.
Yeah.
Try and understand what flow state literally is.
Yeah.
And here we dive into flow state. So flow state is not just a slang like we commonly use flow. That, like, for example, our current conversation with Russ is going in flow. I can say that. But flow state is a neuroscientific state where our dopamine, our motivation chemical, oxytocin, our connection chemical, serotonin, our happiness hormone, then endorphins, our natural painkillers,
Yeah.
norepinephrine, our driving chemical, and our anandamide. There is the sixth chemical called as named after bliss. It's called anandamide. All these six neurochemical cocktail fire
Mm.
simultaneously in our brain at the same time, and like it takes your productivity to 500%. I try and tap into it every day. One way to like start your day is like start some optical flow. That's why it's recommended to go outdoors within first hours of waking up.
Yeah.
Probably take your dog for a walk or go for a walk. I go for a run because seeing the green leaves, it brings, even Andrew Huberman says this, that it brings like an optical flow into life, and then you get into flow state again. So again, flow state starts with, I would say that the biggest flow state starts with doing something which you love. Like there are,
Yeah.
again, like if we were saying that brain is a cycle, so flow state is also a trainable cycle. We can train
Mm.
it every day. But first we have to be, number one thing is awareness. We have to know about that we can train it. The
Yeah.
number one thing in flow is it, you have to unitask. You have to be focused only on one task. You cannot be multitasking. I'll come to that later. So one, you have to be unitasking. For example, doing surgeries, and if I'm doing run, then I'm fully focused on it. So I have to be doing something which I love, and that thing has to be happening in a subconscious level. For example, I have to have the struggle. The number first phase of flow cycle is struggle. I,
Yeah.
I was surgeon, so like I got through some struggle. I don't call it struggle, but like the cycle is like learning new things, learning
Mm.
surgical skills, learning the anatomy. For example, if a guitarist is playing a guitar, he has to go through the struggle to learn the instrument behind. For
Yeah.
example, if a surfer is doing surfing, he has to know the mechanics of how it works and how he has to know the skills. That is number one thing. Then number two is you have to be doing something, you have to be doing something you love, and
Yeah.
it has to have an automatic happen. Then you have to do that with an optimal amount of effort. Like it has to be optimally hard. It cannot be easy, otherwise
Yeah.
you will not enter flow state. It cannot be exceptionally difficult, again you will not enter flow state. So you have to have that sweet spot. It has to
Mhm.
be hard but not extremely hard. It has to be not easy but difficult. And once you are doing, for example, running, today I challenge myself to do a fast sprint less than 5 minutes per. I just challenge myself. A guitarist can challenge himself by performing in front of a billion people.
Yeah.
Surfer, for example, we gave you an example of surfing. He's doing surfing, he knows surfing. Then suddenly he sees a wave, a big wave he has never seen in his life. And then he don't know how to like that wave. So that is like a optimally hard, because but he has the skills. If like a
Yeah.
newbie person, then he'll definitely not be able to do it. So number one is struggle. Number two is release. When you are doing something and you doing optimally hard, for example, even being a surgeon, sometimes during my surgery I get stuck at a place where I'm not very clear that what should I do next. Like I'm just thinking for a moment and trying to introspect what to do. Then is the moment to release, to
Mm.
surrender, and to the universe, to the higher power. And then the surfer, he climbs his surfboard and then he releases. Then is the magical moment where he enters flow state, where all his learnings, his balance, his skills, all
Yeah.
flow into place automatically. And then is where we enter flow state. And then people have experience, we experience time starts to pass strangely around us. Sometimes time passes very fast, sometimes times dilates, and like you will be just feel that it's just minutes.
Yeah.
And then once you enter flow state, then this is my hack again, you can then do multitasking. So you have to
Mm.
focus and unitask, do it, make it challenging, enter flow states. That's usually what I do in the morning. And then when I do enter flow state, then it's up to my skill to linger on and carry on that flow state throughout the day. And then I can, then in that, once I am in flow state, I can do multitask. I can do 100 things and productivity enhances 500%, I told you. Then is the last stage of flow, which most people miss. And that is why they only enter this flow state only occasionally. And that is recovery. Again, sleep, the right supplements, the right nutrition, the right hydration, eating at least 2 to 3 hours before sleeping, all these things then start playing in your mind. So if you train this struggle, release, flow, and recovery cycle, then everybody can have a beautiful life. And since we are talking about cognitive health, if you need to understand this hack.
That makes a lot of sense. Like I used to work in IT, and the best work I did was when I was into flow state. And now I
So
multitask
I have a
before.
song for all the listeners. I have a song called Go With The Flow.
Yep.
It's on Spotify, it's on Apple Music, and you can type Go With The Flow, but you have to type my name also, Dr. Arpit Bansal, because I am not a famous musician yet.
You composed it yourself.
So like I wrote the lyrics, and the I generated the music with AI, but it's my own biohacking protocol, which I've been telling: ice baths, saunas, the what I eat. So it's a beautiful song. If you haven't listened to it, you should listen to it. Many people in the world are like running to it, dancing to it.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful song. Even in Estonia, I ended my presentation with this. And then there is one more song called Flow Part 2, like Go With The Flow 2. That's called as a Quantum Mirror, and that's a slowish song. So that's where many people, again, there is a many company founders who like who have told me this their thing that before going to any meeting, I meditate on the Quantum Mirror song by you, because it's a slow song, brings you into coherence, the energies, and then it calms you down. And in Japan, I ended my talk with making people meditate on that song.
Clever. I will link that in the show notes, your Spotify account. I heard that when we had a chat a few weeks ago. It is good to listen to. Awesome. So you're currently wearing a number of wearables. I think you've got the yellow light glasses as
Yes.
well, and the Neuro visor. In the future of brain health, where's the research heading? There's neuro enhancement. I remember films in the 90s where people were wearing cybernetics and things. What's
So
your vision of the future?
I think it's not future anymore. It's already here. Like no, like, and soon you will see people wearing a brain enhancing device, and as normal as I'm wearing these glasses. The future isn't like man versus machine, and it'll be like integrative future. You can like hack your brain. It's like mind plus machine, I would say. Like we can integrate, like, and we are entering something called, which I love to call as the medicine 3.0, where AI, where neurotech will be more personalized. And like we can in neurovisor these kinds of devices can become more personalized, and then we can tune with, like, there is another device called Healy. I don't know, I'm already using it. It's like a watch, like it taps to into the quantum field also, and with
Okay.
micro currents it connects with your body currents, and it can measure your aura like in
Mm,
3 minutes, and it's fairly accurate. And it just doesn't measure your aura like any auras, the chakras which you are like unbalanced
yeah.
with meditations and with various modes, you can then train them, you can balance them. So that's the era. Like it'll be like a more personalized brain health like never before. Imagine like tracking your brain recovery after an ice bath or an underwater meditation, not just your steps or calories. Like, so this is like already in the past. This we are already seeing this, and I envision something called as maybe the AI based digital twin. Like for me, biohacking is trying to be the best version of yourself, physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. So like I see there'll be a few AI, like ChatGPT is already so advanced, like where I will be able to through these devices, all my data will go, and all my supplements will go, my, if anybody is suffering from any disease, what exercises, even the spiritual practices which you do, you can add that. And then you can talk to your digital twin, and then that digital twin will probably be the best version of yourself for that day. And then you can ask your own best version of yourself, what should I do today, if you're feeling, and then if you, so that's the future, I think. And you can monitor your neurotransmitter rhythm, like your focus windows. The AI will tell you that this is your focus window, so try to do focus with, like we were talking about, that 90 minutes periods. And mental fatigue also, it can be tracked lifetime. So it's like having a neuro coach living inside with your data, with AI, all those things. So the ultimately the
It's
future
true.
of brain optimization isn't about always about more. It's about
Mm,
precision, knowing what your brain needs and when. But again, you can do all the biohacking, but the
yeah.
basic is presence and awareness. And if you all have that, then you won't have that fear based mentality that AI is going to overtake humans, and you would not talk all those things.
I was going to ask. So there's like the appeal to nature. Lots. I know a few people that they won't wear wearables, they won't wear step trackers or anything like that because they feel that rather than say tracking them, they start to be controlled by them instead. I was wondering if there are any kind of ethical questions for the future. If people are doing say neuro enhancement or nootropics in order to perform better and get ahead. Are there any ethical questions about people that might be, say, being left behind because they not choose to go down that path?
See, again, whether you use nootropics or these devices, it's definitely a personal choice. But I would say that first things, being a biohacker, you do if you don't measure your things, we have already
Yeah.
told, you cannot improve things. And there were times where even I would be frank, tracking all those numbers, I was tracking them. I started tracking them with my red mind. Like the
Mm.
moment I used to get up in the morning, I used to check my sleep scores on my app. On the days which I feel good, I have slept good, but my sleep score, because these technologies are glitchy. So you need to understand. That's why I'm again and again tracking. I've been there, I've done there, I've been there, all these things. So then you have to be in your blue mind. And you should only choose to wear a wearable or incorporate all these futuristic things if you are there, inner peace inside, and if you are confident that you can be in your blue mind, because that's where the benefit of it is. That's where you will not feel that you're being controlled, and that's where you will be only be able to use the benefits of it. If you are still stuck in that red mind in your life, then definitely the variable is not for you. You need to first try to shift, do grounding. We didn't talk about grounding. Grounding is again one of my biggest hack. I hug a tree almost every day, and not just like superficially. Like I hug usually a tree as tightly as I would hug my daughter.
Okay.
Like these is real grounding. And if you're, so first you need to shift your mindset to a more blue mind state than red mind
Yeah.
predominantly. Again, balance has to be there. Then you can advance to these futuristic things. So I agree, there are 90% of people who are still stuck in the we talked about the chronic red mind. So we
Yeah.
need to shift the mindset first. Then the question to that answer, that AI will take away the creativity and your minds will become uncreative, which is a common question which most people talk about. I don't think that that's going to happen. Again, it's again in the mindset. I'm also an extreme optimist by nature, and so I'm rooted in nature, but I'm still telling you this, that I still support AI, and I still because that's the future. See, it's
Yeah.
when internet started, everybody had this initial hiccup. So this is going to happen. This has already happened. So don't need to be scared. Like, give AI all the stupid tasks, all the cumbersome tasks, and get them done of tasks which used to take 6 hours in like 6 seconds. And you create. Let AI cannot flow with the creativity of a human mind. And you don't need to be insecure. The traditional jobs are 100% going to die, but there are much more millions options new opening. Like who would believe like you could create so beautiful, I could create music on AI, like. And so I was never even
That
in
is
my
true.
wildest of dream thought that I would ever create a music one day.
Yeah. It's creating a lot of options. And I think there's a quote, it's something like, suffering comes from resistance. So, kind of trying to fight it and pretend it's not happening could be worse than just letting it happen and overcoming it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's amazing. It's becoming a lot more mainstream. So, what excites you about the direction science is heading right now?
So it's becoming very, very personalized, precision based, integrative. Like the future, like is for for the people who try to integrate everything, who don't fix things. Like Neurovisor is the best device in the world. Only you should do. Like I don't like that.
Yeah.
It is a good device. It's good to be explorative. It might not work for some people. So it is like an open mindset is the no thing. And you could integrate things. Like if a thing works for like 10 people, then
Yeah.
I'm ready to like try it and integrate it and then understand the science behind it. And then, so that's I think it's a very one of the most beautiful times we are living in. Like we are now, we were talking about quantum and like,
Yeah.
so like in our biology we have been to so much things. There are so many physical reactions, chemical reactions, which the classical biology laws, classical physics laws cannot explain. Like neuroscience also gives us a lot of perspective to our health. So I am very excited about the times we are living in, and I can't wait to see what happens in the next 5 years. Is way down. Like I would like to see what happens in next 1 year, I guess.
Yeah, the rate ChatGPT and Claude are going, it's
Yeah,
definitely very magical,
absolutely.
especially with the wearables. That's phenomenal. Okay, just like a quick closing reflection, please. I think I know what you're going to say, but could you share one non-negotiable habit or principle for you that people should kind of like always use to protect and enhance their brain power? Yeah, just one.
So
We've
there are
we've
so many things.
mentioned a lot, but one that's non-negotiable, like whatever happens in your life.
It's tap into stillness. I would say stillness. Stillness is the number one. Like if there can be so many other things, but you can tap into stillness through breath, through so many other things. But stillness, try to be still and in silence at least 5 minutes. If not five, let cut down to 1 minute. Like
Yeah.
1 minute a day, and this you can do multiple times. Like because I would say like flow follows
Mm,
focus and focus follows silence.
yeah. Everything, I believe you're also a bird photographer,
Yes, yes.
which that's got to require a lot of stillness because obviously if you're moving.
So I feel like as we were started the conversation with consciousness, human connectedness, like I feel in my life per se, everything is connected. Being a surgeon, a bird photographer, like when I'm behind the camera in my OT laparoscopic camera, and when I'm behind the camera clicking birds, or now even I'm going underwater to click some marine life.
Mm,
You need patience, you need perseverance, you need focus. So all the capacities, all the qualities are same. Like, and for life, like flow, you have to be in flow with life, and you just have to surrender to the beautiful energies and beautiful, and like just you will automatically attract the right people. Like we are all the time very scared in life. I think we need to shift the mindset. That's the major thing. So the final line I would say that you don't need perfection in everything. You need rhythm, and your brain doesn't just think, it feels, it flows, and it adapts. Feed it water, feed it rest, as you rightly mentioned, sleep, and purpose.
yeah.
Find your purpose, and that's the real intelligence. Mine is to spread the right awareness and connect people through to nature, and that's what I've been doing by giving the talks which I've been going internationally at various places, telling that real our health is not just one body. I've devised all these biohacks into earth or the physical body, because our body literally dies when we goes back to the earth. Our air or our mental body, all the neural brain biohacks which we this talk was basically about, our water or the emotional body, and our fire or our spiritual body, where the purpose, fasting, sunlight, all those things come in, the heart mat breathing. And the fifth frequency is the quantum coherence or quantum flow, which is the beautiful connector and which connects all. So go with the flow. Ultimately, the secret in life is not about hours, it's about more flow in life, because in
Mm.
flow, literally, time expands.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you again today. It doesn't feel like an hour at all.
Yeah.
I like how we've touched the physical with the esoteric as well. There is a big overlap in health. Cool. Yep. Thank you very much, Dr. Arpit Bansal.